I'm interested in a lot of things. I know that we're here to talk about the International Fly Fishing Film Festival.
Yes.
That's a mouthful.
IF4.
Four mouthfuls?
IF4.
Oh, because I have a bunch of stuff I want to talk to you about, so I'm glad I finally got you in the seat.
Okay.
But we can certainly start with the Fly Fishing Festival. But first, I think for people that are just listening or watching and don't know who you are, if you want to just give a brief kind of biography.
Where do I start?
Start from the beginning.
Well, I am, I'm Sammie from Manistee Tourism, and I'm working on my fifth career, I think. I'm an El Paso, Texas girl, so born in Texas, lived in Texas a lot of my life, Army brat, and have seen a lot of things in my lifetime. And everything that I've done has essentially led me to this job working at Manistee Tourism.
Your Army brat, is that
Yeah.
your dad, your mom, both?
My dad, so I moved around a lot as a kid. There's a movie called Fight Club where they talk about single-serving friends. And
Yeah.
I feel like, Facebook brought everybody together, but I've been everywhere my whole life. So it's nice to put down roots in Manistee, for sure.
How did you get here?
Oh, gosh. So I had a condo. I was one of those people that lived here on the weekends. I worked at Michigan International Speedway for a lot of years and came up to Manistee as a tourist and loved it. Found a condo and thought this would be a great place to retire. It
is.
As I went along through life, I wondered, why would I wait till I was 65 to retire? Why not live in a place that is amazing and beautiful and everything that you want for calm, less people, less traffic, less everything?
This episode is brought to you by the Ramsdale Regional Center for the Arts. You can find them online at www.ramsdaletheater.org, or you can reach them by phone at 231-398-9770. Our friends over at the Ramsdale Regional Center for the Arts want to let you know about something that's going down on March 9th. It's their Irish night, and the event kicks off with the spirited tunes of the Black House Monks, setting the perfect tone for a night filled with traditional medleys and contemporary twists. As the spotlight intensifies, the main act takes center stage with the renowned Kennedy's Kitchen. Known for their captivating performances and soul-stirring Irish repertoire, Kennedy's Kitchen promises to deliver an unforgettable experience for all music enthusiasts. The music starts at 6 p.m., so check the website for the ticketing information. That's www.ramsdaletheater.org.
And why wait till you're 65 for that? Why not do that when you're in your 40s or when you're young enough to enjoy it? But it was a weekend place, and after I left my job in NASCAR, I worked for Governor Snyder and also Governor Whitmer, and would leave Lansing and sit in traffic up 127 to get here. And every weekend it got harder and harder to leave. And so leaving on Sunday nights became let's leave Monday morning. And finally a job opened up at Crystal Mountain in Thompsonville. And I thought, I've got a condo up there. Why not move to northern Michigan? So I did, right before COVID. So working at a hotel in COVID.
Yeah.
And this was before COVID was even on our radar. And so being able to work at a hotel in northern Michigan and a ski resort and a golf resort, everything that I love to do, was too much to pass up. So moved to Manistee as a result of it.
So you were in NASCAR for a long time.
16 years.
I'm stalking your LinkedIn page right now.
Yeah, I was in NASCAR for 16 years. I started my career at Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, probably about the time that NASCAR started really to explode, and new tracks were being built. And the company that owned Kansas Speedway owned MIS, and the president of MIS asked if I would move to Michigan. So I moved to Michigan in 2006, right before, everything started happening in Michigan. And without a doubt, I loved Michigan. I'd been here for a couple of races. I love Indy cars. I love watching NASCAR races. So everything about Michigan, Detroit, the big three, everything was something that I wanted to be a part of. So without question, I moved here to Michigan.
So tell me a little bit. I'm really interested in the NASCAR stuff for sure.
Okay, where do I start?
I'm not a big NASCAR
Sure.
person. I've got some friends that are super into NASCAR and stuff like that. I know this isn't NASCAR, but that show, what's that show? The Drive? I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like for
the F1?
The F1 stuff.
Yeah,
so Danny,
it's pretty fantastic.
Danny.
Yeah.
Danny's super into that.
I saw him a couple of nights ago.
Yeah, he kind of got me into watching it a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been in the beer and wine industry for over 2 decades, and a big part of my career starting off was with Miller Brewing Company.
Yeah.
And so
Rusty Wallace.
Rusty Wallace was yeah.
And then Brad Keselowski, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was a NASCAR fan as a kid. My dad always watched NASCAR races, so I was a Dale Earnhardt fan, and never missed the Daytona 500. And so because I had NASCAR in my I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
A newspaper that I worked for in California was always short on the sports desk, and they would ask me to cover the NASCAR races at Auto Club Speedway, which was in Fontana, California. So I'd go out, cover NASCAR races in California. But the featurey side, this guy brought his RV up from Alabama to go to this race. It wasn't the sports side. It was the lifestyle side of NASCAR. So I just loved it. I've watched it my whole life. So the opportunity to work for a racetrack and get to do the things that I did, from traveling to most of the racetracks to I was one of the handlers of the stars. So anytime a VIP would come in, I'd typically host them, show them around, make sure they got to all their appearances that they needed to, and just promoted NASCAR in general. And it was fun, but I also realized that there was life after NASCAR. I mean, there is a grind to a four-wheel circus that races every single weekend from essentially February to November. And that's not a lifestyle that I'm interested in. So it was easy to leave and find something else to promote, leaving NASCAR to go to work for the state of Michigan to promote all the great things there are about Michigan. There was really no choice and no question about it.
Did you seek that job?
My boss at Michigan International Speedway was fired, and he got a job with Governor Snyder and asked if I would come with him. And, that mentor relationship is really important. And Roger Curtis, who fantastic, was probably the person who made me my best, saw me at my worst and also saw me at my best. When he asked me to come work for him, I did. Easy.
So your job with the state of Michigan, Labor and Economic Opportunity?
I worked it started out as Talent and Economic Development, and then changed under a new governor as Labor and Economic Opportunity. But I promoted skilled trades, and marketing and government is an interesting combination. Legislators would say to me, it's a waste of taxpayer dollars to market our programs. I would retort back to them that I think it's a waste of taxpayer dollars to have these programs that nobody knows about. Mm-hmm. And, it's true. The state of Michigan has some incredible programs that I don't think people know. And I think I'm a relatively informed constituent. And a lot of the things the state does, I had no idea about. And to be able to promote career pathways for young people, skilled trades, associate's degrees, the importance of getting a credential to get a career. That was something that I really appreciated. I mean, I went to college and got a journalism degree, and I'm not really using my journalism degree. I'm not in journalism. I write, obviously, for a living and press releases and things like that. But, you know, helping people find a career pathway is important, because I don't even think sometimes parents don't know how to talk to their children about education.
Yeah.
And because education is expensive, it's an expensive proposition, but so worth it. So to be able to do that, talk about skilled trades, talk about apprenticeships, and going to a community college to get an associate's degree, that's important. And I really appreciated and liked doing that under Governor Snyder.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then Crystal Mountain, and then to the...
And then Crystal Mountain, and to, it's funny, I worked at Crystal Mountain, and I worked with a young woman named Carmen Cott, who everybody knows, and she sent me an email one day and said, there's a job at tourism that I think you'd be great for. Why don't you apply for it? So I did. And I don't know, I fooled them enough to hire me. So
I don't think you fooled them. I think they knew what they were getting when they hired you.
I fooled them. I don't have CVB experience, and I remember that was one of the questions was, have you ever worked in a CVB before? And I have worked with CVBs as working at a hotel, but also working at a NASCAR track, which, the NASCAR race is a lot of tourism there.
Yep.
And my response to them was, how hard could it be? So I'm still learning, and there's a million things that every day I find out that, okay, maybe I did this wrong, and maybe I should relook at this. But I'm grateful that I work with people and a board that gives me a long runway to make a lot of mistakes.
How hard could it be?
How hard could it be?
Yeah, I love your confidence, dude.
I wish I was as confident when I talk to people as I am in my real life, but...
I mean, your reputation precedes itself. It really does.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of passion.
How hard could it be?
How hard could it be?
We live in a fantastic area that people pay about $300 a day to visit. Why wouldn't we have a good time living here and working here? And, when I hear people talk about some of the shortcomings that are in our town, and there's shortcomings everywhere.
Every town.
We have an incredible place that we live in. And I do think that as residents, we take things for granted. I mean, I didn't know about half the things there were to do here until I started working in tourism. And arguably, I put down roots at Crystal Mountain and North. Mm-hmm. But there are some really amazing things and amazing people doing amazing things in Manistee. And to be able to be a part of that and live here and work here, I know some people tell me, well, don't tell anybody because we don't want traffic and we don't want big town issues. I want to tell everybody because this is a fantastic place, not only in the state, but really in our country. And when you look at weather, when you look at the quality of life that we have here, there is no other place that I would rather live here. And I'm from Texas, and I've lived everywhere in the world, but I love living in Michigan. And this is from a girl who sent her parents one of those wooden cutting blocks for Christmas.
Yeah, the Michigan one.
It was missing the UP, but they thought the thumb was the UP. So the fact that I can sit here and tell you that I love where I live and I love being a tourist in my county it's pretty phenomenal because I've been a lot of places.
Yeah, not only just kind of promoting the county, but Michigan is under-promoted as a state, I believe.
It's not only under-promoted, there is a stigma we did some research from Snyder's days. There's a lot of perceptions about Michigan that are not true. I mean, a lot of it stems from Detroit.
Yeah.
A lot of it stems from Flint water and the crisis that was there. But Michigan is not this gray, gross area. It is flourishing and it's beautiful. And I think we take for granted as residents, not only in Manistee, but also in Michigan, that story's being told far and wide, and it really isn't.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because when you brought that up, the first thing I thought of was probably people think Michigan is Detroit.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
When I think about like how other states are marketed, the states that come to mind are Texas, California, Colorado, Florida, Arizona. These are kind of like destination states, but I feel like Michigan is a destination state. At least for me it is.
Agree.
Maybe because I'm a homer. But, I love it here.
Born and raised.
Yeah, and I don't have any plans on leaving.
Well, being from Texas, when I first moved here, it was difficult for me to give up my Texas driver's license and my right to vote in Texas. And that was a big deal. Texans have a tremendous pride where almost the people of Texas help make Texas what it is.
Yeah.
I didn't really know a lot about Michigan until I moved here. And I think my thoughts about Michigan, I loved the movie Boys in the Hood, and I remember Ice Cube wearing the Detroit Tigers hat, and that was my impression of what Michigan was. And I remember when I first moved here, Michigan International Speedway is on US 12, which is a beautiful byway, and there were sunflower fields. It was the most magnificent October day because the best days outweigh the worst days here. A week later, it started raining for a month, then it turned to snow. And I seriously at one point thought, what did I do?
Yeah.
And did I just make this huge mistake by moving here? But I do think the good days in Michigan far outweigh the bad days. The quality of life that we have here. Who gets to live on Lake Michigan? And who gets to go mountain biking in the Manistee, any national forest? Who gets to do stuff like that? And it's not just about outdoor recreation. There is a tremendous quality of life here that I love. And I love to see great things happen in Manistee. And I want to be a part of how can we move Manistee forward. And, whenever I see any of the negative stuff about Manistee, I think, well, that's true of any town, but what are you doing to make it better? And I hope we can make it better. You like to promote Manistee, and you like to talk about all the great things that there are here, and you do things here. I think when you haven't lived other places, you don't recognize just how great this place really is. Yeah.
I left for a little while. I lived in Lincoln Park and Allen Park down by Detroit for a minute when I was gone in the Air Force. But, this town, I don't know, there's just something about it that I just can't. I'm not the typical, kid that graduated high school and said, I'm never going back.
Right.
Yeah. I always had a plan that I'd be back. I would always stay here and raise a family here. Because you're right, that lake, it's like California. It acts like an ocean, it looks like an ocean, it feels like it when you're out there. And I like the fact that, I'm a beach guy. I'm pretty sure I would thrive in California.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that I know that as the season, I can feel myself being from Michigan that I act seasonally anyways.
Yeah.
I just kind of know when summer's over.
Sure.
You kind of get that feeling you're ready for fall. And then I start lying to myself saying fall's my favorite time of year.
Well, growing up in El Paso, there wasn't a season. We never wore coats. And, my mother, my parents live in a town called Fort Davis, which is, it's like 3 airplane rides and a 3-hour drive and a time zone change from El Paso. Wow. So it's kind of a pain to get to see my parents. But my mom frequently asks me, what kind of accent do you have going on there?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know. I think it's some kind of Texas, Michigan, whatever type of accent. So, but yeah, I love Michigan. And I love Manistee. I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't know half the things that there were to do here. I had never even heard of nor visited the suspension bridge or the North Country Trail, or went into the Manistee Forest, or did any of that stuff until I started working in tourism. And
there are people that have been here for their whole entire life that don't know where those things are
We have
at.
such incredible outdoor recreation assets that just really make this place, it makes you feel small but big. And every time I go somewhere else, I find myself saying, man, I wish I could get back home because this traffic's terrible, or these potholes are terrible, or whatever else. I mean, we've got it pretty good here in Manistee.
Yeah. Do you know Doug from big guy that works at Trophies?
I haven't met everybody yet, so.
So Doug and his wife, I want to say Tristan, but it's not. It's like Tristan. They're from. Well, they lived in Vegas in Southern California for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And there's connections close to Manistee that brought them here. So I'm going to paraphrase the whole thing, but so they moved here. And Doug, I mean, he still wears shorts, like he was wearing shorts during the
I wouldn't do that.
The chili cook-off when it was like 0 degrees outside.
Yeah.
But I bring this up because he and I were having a small conversation the other morning about the seasons they just spent. Like, they're going into the second year in Michigan. Like, he had never seen snow before he moved here. And I mean, the way he talks about northern Michigan and Manistee is how every first time visitor, but he just continues to beat that drum. Like, this is just the most amazing place on earth.
Yeah.
He goes, we went to Grand Rapids the other day, and he was like, it was wild. He said it reminded him of like Vegas in that there's a restaurant for every ethnicity, and there's shops here and shops there, and he's talking like it was this great experience, right? And I'm getting anxiety because I can't stand busyness. And then he finally said, I couldn't wait to get back.
Yeah.
Like, at one point I was driving 90 miles an hour, and I was like, whoa, I got to pull over. I was just getting off because he's kind of used to the slower pace here now. And it's not really that slow.
No. And what I like is that you can choose what you want to do. It is a small town, so we're limited on some of the things that we have access to. But I think with that rural, there's the good and the bad. And I've chosen to live here. I don't have a problem finding the things that I need to get, or whatever else. If there's not a store available, online is always great. Or I don't mind driving to Traverse City or Grand Rapids or whatever for some of those things. But now I'm biased too. I live on the river, so I have fantastic views of freighters. And it's just, there's something unique here and fun that we've got this great access to. And when I first started, I did tell my board, I think that Manistee needs cheerleaders. I mean, we need people to tell the story of all the great things that there are to do here and just how great it is to live here. And ultimately, I've chosen to live here, and we could live anywhere in the world. People can live anywhere that they want to live. And there's a group of people that have chosen to live in Manistee. And if they're listening to this, they've chosen to live in Manistee. So I appreciate that. And it's a good place to live.
It's a phenomenal
and
place.
And people love to visit here. I mean, we're seeing increases in people visiting, which is good too. And there's just so much, there's fun things. And, we don't have like a, name brand steakhouse or whatever, but we've got really great places to go and to eat and just to live and have a great time that I think makes us special and different from some of the other Western Michigan or any of the other Michigan towns. So
yeah, I'd agree with that. And when you had said to your board, you think Manistee needs more cheerleaders, I think you're doing a pretty damn good job with that. I watch all the stuff. Now, you put out the majority of the content.
I have Sherry Protashevitz who works in our office. Yeah, all the organic content comes from us, yes.
And it's great.
Yeah, it's fun.
Time consuming.
She's talented, and I love social media. I I think anyone who can cut themselves off from social media, I appreciate that, but I love it. And I try not to get wrapped up in all of it because it can be very addictive, as you know. But I
don't get wrapped up in any of it. I tell people don't believe me, but I post and leave. I don't spend any time on anybody else's bullshit. No, the only time that Kid Show, I gotta keep remembering Kid Show. My wife is so pissed at me
that does all that.
for swearing. Yeah. I don't look at any of the what I think is like tabloid Facebook for Manistee, these so-called groups or whatever. But I get sucked in every now and then because Dylan, our mutual friend Dylan, he'll send me a screenshot or a link to something like, "Oh, pissed off. You gotta read this." And then
I think he likes to work me up by sending me stuff like that.
He
sometimes
likes to poke
I take
the bear.
I take the bite. Other times I'm like, what do you want me to say about this?
Yeah. And I like just not even being involved in that kind of stuff because I know that there's enough out there there's a camp that doesn't like what I do, and that's fine. Whatever. I'm not going to placate to it. Because of Nomi Racing, because of Manistee Beverage Company, because of this podcast, I make sure that everybody knows where I stand with Manistee.
I will give you a fun fact about the Run the Pier 5K. I broke my ankle in it.
Did you really?
Yeah, the last race that I did.
Oh my gosh.
I was running probably about 11 miles a day. And
yeah, you were running a lot when you and I first started talking.
Yeah, and I was out every day, which, that's not good for you to run every single day. Mm. I was running up ski hills at Crystal and then down. But I love the Run the Pier 5K, and it goes up my street. I love the pier. I love the sunset run. I love it. And I was making really good time. And my ankle was really starting to get like a little stitch. And I'm just like, oh, but your time is really good. So I kept running. I ran past my condo entrance. And I'm like, man, this is really starting to be painful. But I've got a really good time. So I kept running. After the race, personal best. It was my best ever. And I love this race to this day. I'm walking back to my condo, and I could hardly even walk. And I'm not a stranger to aches and pains. I iced my knee for a little while, iced my ankle. Next morning, woke up, could not function. I could not put any weight on it. So my first of many visits to Munson Emergency, or to Manistee Hospital's emergency room. And had basically a stress fracture.
Wow.
Of my ankle. And I feel it when it gets cold, but I haven't run the Pier 5K since because I can't get that love of running back for some reason. And I kind of miss running, and I want to do it again, but I'm also afraid I'm going to break an ankle. So
yeah,
maybe you can inspire me to get back to it.
I try. I have friends that just have fallen away, and they don't.
Yeah.
It's hard to get back into it.
Once you get to a certain age and injuries start happening, then you kind of go, ugh.
For me, it's the lung capacity. If I get sick and I take like a week off or 2 weeks off, then you can just feel it like, oh man, it's going to take me. I got a good buddy right now who's a marathon runner that hasn't run in 6 months.
Yeah.
And
I did one full marathon. I've done probably 12 halves, and I did one full. There is a tremendous almost depression after the marathon because you work for 6 months, and then what? There's no more goals. There's no more things to accomplish. And I feel like I went through this weird depression afterward. And I don't know if that's like a normal thing or not, but you're supposed to rest afterward.
Yeah.
But then you sit there and you're like, now what? I mean, I had this great marathon. I mean, it was a Disney marathon, but it was still a marathon.
Yeah,
still 26.2.
Damn right. It's still 1% of the population.
And it's still a great medal.
Yeah.
But it was also just, now what? And I didn't run for the longest time until I started working toward the Run the Pier 5K type stuff. And I had such a great time in that race. And it's such a well-run event. And I want to be able to, I have 2 bikes. And I want to do the Rusty Fish, but I think mentally I've already stopped at 100. I won't be able to do 100.
You don't
to do
100.
I know, but I want to do.
You want to do the big one?
The big one.
You want to do the big one?
Yeah, that's my toxic trait.
I feel you.
is wanting
feel
to
ya.
do the hardest, most difficult race that there is. So,
Well, we'll get you there. We'll get you
we
there.
need a couple of like practice runs to do that.
We do a like a fun run, or fun ride. So
Yeah.
we do parts of it. We go to Iron Fish and drink too much and then call it a day. But we usually do like at least 50 miles, 30 something to 50 miles of the route.
I've
Then
done
st-
13 as my max on a
If you
bike
do,
right now.
If you do 13, you could do 30.
Yeah, that's
That's
what
kinda like
Dylan
running.
said.
Yeah. If you could run a half marathon, you could run a full marathon.
Yeah.
Shit, I was going to say something. I forgot. Oh, well, like this year, and as we move forward, like the Run the Pier is a totally different event now.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's a daytime event because we've added the half and the full marathon, and we can't have those people out
Sure.
running in the middle of the heat.
Yeah.
Plus, it was all warm and fuzzy at the beginning, having to be at night, but it's a huge pain in the ass to finish it at 10, 11 o'clock at night and
Yeah,
be done.
for
So.
sure.
But bigger and better. I mean, speaking of marathons, like our marathon is outpacing everything right now
good.
in signups. It's wild.
And remind me of the date. Is there enough time
July
to train?
27th.
Oh, yeah. There's enough
yeah.
time to train.
Oh, there's more than enough time. Yeah. I feel like we'll have a minimum of 500 athletes this
Oh,
year.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because if we do at the pace we're going right now, with not a whole lot of marketing for the event, it's just up on Run Sign Up, and the amount of people that we already have signed up for like the half and the full, if we just get our normal 250, 300 5K runners, then
Yeah.
we should surpass 500 this year, which would be great.
Yeah, I don't know if there was some drive to want to do a marathon. I think it's that what's next type of thing. And I think there's people that just want to accomplish things. I think I'm one of those people. And I don't know if I have it in me to do a second marathon, because once you've done one, unless you're like super fit and super into it, you're going to lose some toenails. You know that your knees are going to hurt afterward. But that pain goes away when you're done, and then you have the best burger or pizza or whatever of your life. It makes it all worth it.
You got to start cold plunging.
I probably should.
Yeah, it's amazing after a run, especially after a run. It's the way to go.
I had to do a thing in high school science where you had to dip your hand into ice water while they take your blood pressure. And it was so cold and painful that I've never done anything like that. So I don't know if I could do it like an ice plunge.
I think you got that. You got that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
They say that if you start your day with a cold shower, that's supposed to set a tone for the rest of the day. And that's like high performance people do that. I tried it for about a week, and it was like for a split second. And I never saw any kind of performance change, so I just gave it up.
I've been getting in a cold tub every morning for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I started off with the cold shower.
Okay.
But yeah, I love it. I don't start my day without it.
Maybe I need to do this. I wake up every morning now, and it's like a new pain, back or knee, and I ski in the winter. So this past couple of weeks, I've been waking up. It's been harder and harder to move around. So age. It's getting to me.
Hey, are you going to the gala?
I am.
How nice.
Yeah. Manistee County Tourism Authority has a table.
Of
So,
course.
We do.
I just thought about that because I was talking.
Are you
Oh,
going
yeah.
to the gala?
Yeah,
Okay.
we got it. We bought a table. No
Okay.
Racing
I have
bought a
one
table.
extra seat, so need to fill it.
I got an extra seat too.
Okay.
And I'm like, it's kind of hard to find like one person. I might just call Carmen and say, hey, can I get two?
Yeah. you
We
should
bought the big
probably-
table.
Yeah.
So now, I don't know. Anyways, I brought that up because I was just thinking about. I was talking to Peter Buikema about going to the gala, and it was one of the things I wanted to ask you is, do you think we have enough or not enough hotel rooms in Manistee County?
I'm hearing early results for summer, and some of our hotels are at 87% right now.
Already.
Our best months, July and August, will be about 98% occupancy.
Damn.
It's that year-round sustainment of a
Yeah.
hotel. I mean, you want to be smart with growth, and you want to make sure that a hotel that's filled in summer is also filled in winter. So
Right.
that's my challenge, is to make sure that people recognize Manistee County as a four-season county. Right now, numbers tell us that we have enough. I mean, we have people that have short-term rentals also that they use. They rent out their cottages on weekends. Right now, we have enough. But there's also some infrastructure things that we probably need to look at moving forward. I mean, where are people getting coffee in the morning? I mean, if you continue to grow hotels, you have to grow the other infrastructure that goes along with that, in addition to the talent that you also need to run those hotels. Hampton, for example, I think they employ like 70 people.
Yeah.
That's a job, an economic driver in this area, and it is a year-round destination hotel. So that's fantastic. And it's on the beach. And and Michigan just doesn't build hotels on beaches. So that Hampton is a win for this area. But I think we need more promotion to build more hotels. But we also need more infrastructure.
And snow.
We need the weather to cooperate. I mean, I want to see a strong summer that starts Memorial Day, and we're not all bundled up Memorial Day. It's nice to see people on beaches Memorial Day. This was by all accounts, we didn't have nearly enough snow for snowmobilers, didn't have the cold temperatures to sustain ice fishing. And a lot of the outlying hotels in some of the other areas outside of the city of Manistee, they rely on ice fishing, they rely on snowmobiling, so snowshoeing. So we need the weather to cooperate all year. But that's all year. I mean, we need a good summer, we need a good winter, we need a good fall. Good spring, too.
Yeah, it's wild. Well, I mean, we're dependent on that as a tourist location.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's talk about fishing.
Yes.
Let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. This is
Film
really
Festival.
my excuse to get you to sit down on the podcast so I can get to know you a little bit better. But yes, the International Fly Fishing Festival, Film Festival.
Film Festival, yes.
Can you break that down for me a little bit?
We've got March 2nd and 3rd, 9 short films, all talking about fly fishing, and showcasing fly fishing will be shown at the Vogue Theater. The beauty of a ticket is that you get all 9 short films. They all run consecutively in less than 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
That talk about fly fishing all over the world. And what's so fantastic about this event is that not only does it spotlight fly fishing, which Manistee County is world renowned for our fly fishing. And I think that's something I even took for granted. But the money raised, everything goes to the Vogue and to the Little Manistee Watershed Conservation. So all that money stays local. It is a partnership between Manistee Tourism and also Ironfish Distillery to bring the films here. But we wanted to do more than just show 9 films about fly fishing. So we've set up some seminars and some presentations at West Shore Community College. My favorite that we just got a call today about, a woman in Ludington said she wants to start fly fishing, but she doesn't know where to begin. Chelsea Pete from Manistee River Lodge in Wellston and she's also from Manistee, is going to conduct Intro to Fly Fishing at West Shore Community College. And fly fishing can be intimidating because, you see these artistic and wonderful films, Brad Pitt, doing
River
all
runs
these
through
things.
it.
A river runs through it. And there's an artistry to fly fishing, but Chelsea's going to break all that down and bring some rods and reels and show people how to cast and talk about how to get into fly fishing. And we've got a presentation from the DNR and from the Little River Band about the Arctic grayling restoration project that's going on. And another fly fisherman named John Gauker is going to do the best places in Manistee County to fly fish. But he's also going to do a fly tying seminar at Third Life Brewing, who's brewing a special beer for this. So it's all these collective little things that I'm hoping means Manistee County can own fly fishing at the first weekend in March. And with this being an inaugural, and
Yeah.
you know, hosting events, that you don't know if this is going to be 5 people who show up or 5,000, but we're starting from nothing and building something that I think can really be incredible going forward. And maybe a filmmaker will do something on Manistee County to be featured in one of the film festivals in the future. So,
Now, who spearheaded this?
Ironfish.
Okay.
Ironfish, with their Mad Angler, and just the creative that they do at Ironfish is just,
They're special.
yeah, I can't even explain it. Their marketing director is phenomenal. But they, Sarah Anderson brought this idea because they are so close to fly fishing. And I love this area and I love Ironfish. So I said, yeah, let's do it. So,
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to like Ironfish.
oh my God, I was there last night.
Dude, so the people, whenever there's somebody in my sphere that's like, I can't drink whiskey, I can't drink liquor, blah, 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 I just can't do it. Like, let's go to Ironfish. And then, like, in 2 drinks, they're hooked.
Yeah. There's something cool about bourbon in general. I mean, you know that I love bourbon, but when you go to Ironfish and you see all the things that they're doing there, from the farm to just the new distillery to just the branding and the packaging, even the bottles that they have.
Mm-hmm.
I knew and know Jesse Denherter, the marketing director there, and he's so talented.
He's a good shit. I like Jesse a lot.
Oh my God. His talent and his vision is, I know that you need a really good team and a really great leadership that's established there that moves things forward. But Jesse has this wonderful vision, and the bottles are just, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the bottles, just the embossing, or if it's called embossing, of the fish.
Yep.
The logo inside the bottles is just tremendous. And I'm kind of a packaging nerd anyway. I love stuff like that. So, so the fact that Sarah brought this opportunity, we had to. So they're a Canadian, the film festival is out of Canada. But there's 9 films, and it is about fly fishing all over the world, from the Florida Keys to Argentina, and they're beautiful. And I love video, and I cannot wait to see these on a big screen too, because I've watched all the trailers, so I haven't seen all the films, but I just can't wait. And I'm hoping that spurs someone who wants to do a film about Manistee, and we can promote even further all the great things that are here. Because we just did a winter shoot. Believe it or not, we had our winter photo shoot when there's no snow. And part of that was fly fishing, and the early photos that we got are spectacular, of just the big Manistee River and just being part and seeing fish and being in the water, and the artistry that is fly fishing is just so beautifully incredible that I just can't wait to see it on a screen. And maybe want to travel to Argentina or the Keys or somewhere else to be able to go fly fish, so, or just hang out.
So, like, the conversations around this, did Manistee get this film festival? I mean, were we up against other communities for this?
No, basically you can just call the Film Fest people and ask to have the films here. Now we're paying a showing fee to the Film Fest people to host it here, and they do try to not put all the films on top of one another, so you won't see this any closer than Saginaw.
Okay.
That's the closest location that'll host this film festival. So there's certainly something to be able to come up for. I mean, my job is to promote this as a tourist destination, but also drive hotel rooms.
Yeah.
And I think this is worth coming to and staying the night in one of our hotels. I got the menu this morning for what Bluefish is going to offer in terms of a menu special.
Yeah, I did see that they. I didn't see the menu, but I did see that they were excited to be a part of this.
It's pretty great.
So
they're doing trout 2 ways, and they're doing like a special ironfish drink. So I think all of these incremental things that local businesses can do to be a part of the film festival makes this another destination for not only fishing, but just come and check it out. So
no, yeah. I mean, if we're going to continue to have this film festival, my 2 cents, if we're going to continue to have this film festival, because it's going to be a great success. I mean, people are talking about it. I mean, at least they're talking about it around here. If they're just talking about it around here, people are going to go.
Good.
That's great.
That's good.
train of thought, Jim. Reel it in. The whole of the area needs to come on board with it.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to, like, say, Traverse City for, like, their comedy festival they do, or the whole downtown area is involved in that in some way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be monetary. They could do things like the Bluefish is doing.
Right.
They're having a special.
Yeah.
You know, they're promoting Ironfish.
Yeah, I mean, there's more things to figure out. The outsider, John Faber, asked what they can do to be involved, and I don't have all the ideas. I just want to set the tone that other people can have ideas and be a part of it. You know, like with the chili cook-off. If you want to have a chili cook-off team, awesome. If you don't, that's okay too. But this is all about driving people to downtown, driving people to this area, to give them something that they might not necessarily have in their community. And the Fly Fishing Film Festival is something new that when Sarah brought the idea, I thought, well, maybe this could be something that could be fun. And again, when you host something the first year, you don't always know what the turnout's going to be. And in my experience as a NASCAR person who tried to build other events outside of a NASCAR race, it takes about 3 years to pick up steam. I mean, I was at MIS when we first hosted Faster Horses, and I want to say the first concert that we did, there were maybe 14,000 people there, which...
It still seems like a shitload to me.
That's a lot of people, but now it's like...
Yeah, this Faster
50,000.
Horses, I don't know much about it. Is it a country
It's
thing?
a 3-day country music festival.
But people talk about it like they're going to Mecca.
Yeah, it is, you know.
And they just say, we're going to Faster Horses. They're not saying who they're going to watch.
Right.
So the event is like the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. The concerts are kind of secondary to just... They call it a hillbilly sleepover. I mean, that is what Live Nation wanted to call it, was a 3-day hillbilly sleepover. And the camping, the fun, kind of the friendships that you make along the way, yes, you get to see Jason Aldean and all those guys and Luke Bryan and stuff, but it's the camping and it's the experience that you're there.
Yeah.
And I think we can build something. And I'm not saying it's just the film festival. I think there's an opportunity to do a lot of things here.
Oh my God,
like
Sammie.
that.
We're speaking the same language, dude. Like, I wake up in the middle of the night going, oh, that would be such a good idea. Like, I want, selfishly, our events to be signature events, but I want people talking about the events that are happening in Manistee, not just throughout the state, but at least in neighboring, like, down in Chicago or wherever, that they're coming up here for these events.
Yeah, Chicago's a good market for us. It's a growing market, one of our out-of-state markets. I will tell you, it takes everybody rowing in that direction.
Yeah.
And as tourism, I speak to people who aren't necessarily within Manistee, but I will tell you that the people of Manistee are the most important people that we should be talking to, because that culture of, we like tourists, we want events, we want a quality of life here, we want community events that bring people from far and near, that takes a local buy-in of welcoming, of knowledge of what we have, of knowledge of events. So we have to talk to everybody, and I want for tourism to talk more to our locals, because they're an important part of that. If you see a tourist walking on the street, you have to be informed about what there is to do. And last summer, I was downtown, and someone said, "Do you live here?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And she's like, "Okay, we're from Chicago, and we need a place to eat." And I'm like, did you ever talk to the right person?
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
I want everybody to feel that way
Yeah.
and be welcoming, but knowledgeable is the thing. And to know all of our beaches. I knew a first and I knew a fifth. We have 25 miles of beaches in Manistee County. We need to know all of those as people who live here to make really solid recommendations to people, so people want to keep coming back. And that takes all of us together to have that culture of welcoming and belonging and promotion of Manistee. That's that cheerleader mentality, right?
Yeah.
So
Or you could just direct people to like Overheard in Manistee. Or,
Or visit ManisteeCounty.com
Yeah.
the Manistee Local Podcast. So.
Yes. Yes, 100%. The more that follow this, the better.
Yes, for sure.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this. It's funny, too, because I had talked to you about having you come on and talk about this, and I'm like 8 minutes later. It's very specific. I get a text message from Richard Anderson, and he's like, hey, it was obviously a voice to text, but he's like, I'm on my way through Colorado. I guess he's out there selling the hooch. And he's like, if you have any time at all to put something out about the film festival, I'm just like, haha. I just got done talking to Sammie, dude.
Yeah,
We're
it's I with the beverage company, I know Iron Fish was a big seller here, and you were important to them. We need to find what that next Manistee Beverage is, or what that next place for them to. I mean, they're in the northern part of the county. I think some people forget that they're Manistee County. I mean, they are, and they're a huge part and anchor of a really important part of our county that is just beautiful, and they're just doing such great things out there. I can't say enough. And, every time they hire someone, I always say to Sarah, well, if this tourism thing doesn't work out, I might have to be a bartender for you, because I feel that strongly about Iron Fish. They're
I do too.
Fantastic. And I love bourbon in general, but I will put, and I've been to Louisville a lot of times to see a lot of their distilleries. I will put Iron Fish up against any distillery in Louisville, Kentucky also.
Yeah, when they got that, when you have the passion, and it shows through in the product. I absolutely adore them. They are some of the best humans I've ever met.
Yeah, smart.
Very
I like smart people.
Mm-hmm. And honest. And it just
Right.
kind of comes through in every meeting with them. And whether they like it or not, I don't know. But I always tell people, this is Manistee's.
Right. It's
This
ours.
is Manistee. This is ours. This
Yeah.
is made here in Manistee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and other
proud
people
of that.
claim them too, that's okay too. I told Sarah yesterday that Iron Fish is, first of all, travelers, people, they don't see county lines. They really don't.
They don't.
I'm lucky that they're in Manistee County because it makes me feel closer to them, but they are really global. They're not just ours, but they are ours.
They are ours.
And so
Yeah.
we all should have ownership there. I went there last night for drinks, met some of my Crystal Mountain friends there, and met with the team there, and I love it. I will go there every single day if possible. And they're doing some really incredible things. And, COVID forced them to grow quicker than they probably had planned.
All of us.
And they kept up with it.
Yeah.
And they still amaze me with some of the neat things that they do, the products, just the collaboration, the willingness to do stuff like this. I mean, bringing the film festival idea is just one small thing that they've done, but they're heavily entrenched in the return of the Arctic grayling into Manistee County. They do a lot for the watershed. They give back, and they're a business that gives back all the time.
Yeah, and they put a ton of passion into it. They are doing, when I say they are doing what every, air quote, small business owners should be doing. And that's working very diligently in the business that they're trying to grow. It amazes me. They have a multi-million-dollar payroll. And when you walk in to Iron Fish, there's Sarah washing dishes.
Right.
Working the floor. Richard's working the floor. I mean, they're all out there, sleeves rolled up, getting after it.
Get
And
it
then
done.
doing all of these things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And selling. And, I one of the reasons why I went there yesterday is so I could get a bottle of the Mad Angler 5
5-year. Yeah.
You got to go to a store to get it. You can't get it at the distillery. So I got to go to Onekama Easy Mart in order to pick up a bottle of it. So, but yeah, I love it. I drink it. And I took some to my dad the last time I went to Texas, because you can take 2 bottles on the plane.
Yeah.
And my dad immediately popped the bottle and took a drink right in the kitchen, and he loved it too. So I love being able to bring a part of Manistee to my parents down in Texas. And we should all just be really proud about this world-class distillery that we have there. And I can't say enough about them. And so this partnership with them, us being involved with them, is not only an opportunity to do something on a weekend that we might not otherwise have anything else going.
Yeah.
It allows us to work with partners that closer, like Ironfish, but to be able to make, contacts with Chelsea Pete at Manistee River Lodge, who she has donated a guiding fishing trip for us to give away during the weekend. And I don't know how we're going to give it away. I know there's some sweepstakes rules or something that we have to deal with, but for her to offer that, for Port City Emporium, they offered up a framed print of a trout, for the bluefish people to do trout 2 ways. These are little incremental things that I'm super excited about, because I wouldn't have necessarily worked with all of these folks before. And shame on me. I mean, I'm only a year and a half in tourism, but this has opened up so many doors with Third Life, with John Gowker Fly Fishing, to be able to do fun things. I've gotten to know the people at the Vogue, and we're raising money for the watershed and for the Vogue. And so it's super exciting for me to be able to be a part of something like this. And then I'm already thinking, how can we make this even bigger next year? We haven't even gotten through the first one. So
let's go.
Somehow you're rubbing off on me a little bit in that respect.
I can't stop. I can't.
Your mind goes crazy thinking about it. And we're a small shop at tourism. I'm the only full-timer, and then Sherry and Jerry work part-time. And so I have to think about the long game too. I can't burn myself out, but this is easy stuff. Getting excited about things that we're doing in the community is very easy.
Yeah.
So, and I hope a lot of local people come to this to look at all the potential for fly fishing. And, if you go to a fly shop in Idaho or Pulaski, New York, or, take your pick, Montana, and you say you're from Manistee, I guarantee they will know about the big Manistee River.
Oh, for sure. Or
the Pere Marquette just, south of us. So there's some opportunities here that I really want to exploit with the fly fishing.
I'm just not like a fisherman. And, I grew up.
Come to Intro to Fly Fishing. Maybe you will be.
I'm going to come to the festival, though. I'm going to watch these movies.
Okay. I'm super excited about it. 9 films, but under 2 hours.
Hey,
and there's an intermission. We'll do some giveaways.
I grew up on a marina. And I spent some time in the charter fishing world, just kind of helping out on boats and stuff like that, but never really.
Like what kind of charters?
Like big lake charters.
Oh, okay.
Here. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I've talked about this before on the podcast, but you don't know.
I listen to your podcast.
Where the SS Milwaukee is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, down there used to be a motel.
Okay.
Years and years ago. It was called the Moonlight Motel and Marina, and that's where I grew up. I grew up there because that was my grandparents' motel.
Okay.
So they had a small 23 room, because they didn't have 13, motel, and then they had a marina, which was, I don't know, I can't remember how many boat slips, like 25 boat slips, and a little campground down there. So yeah, I spent my summers mowing lawns and helping out on boats and stuff like that. But anyways, I bring that up because I was thinking about the fishermen. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've had some pretty big fishing tournaments here that were nationally televised, I think, right? Like on ESPN or something like that.
I couldn't tell if they were nationally, but I know that there are several lake fishing tournaments for salmon that are pretty big, and tight lines for troop, but kind of a non-traditional type of tournament that is getting much, much bigger and certainly very notable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love Lake Michigan, and I love the lake. I think our rivers are magnificent, and to be able to enjoy the rivers and fly fish on the rivers it's a whole different type of fishing than big lake fishing. So.
Yeah. And just being out there, out by those backwaters, being from here, born and raised here, I had not seen as much of our countryside as I did when we were putting together the Rusty Fish Gravel, when we were doing the first 100-mile race. Just tying all those out-county dirt roads together to come up with this race and then going out there and doing it, because we just did it all on the computer. Well, I shouldn't say we, Zach did. Zach's kind of a mad scientist. And then we went out and wrote it to see that if it was going to work.
Yeah.
I'm out there just like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I'm working with a couple of other visitors bureaus to designate 55 as an outdoor recreation byway. There's some incredible outdoor recreation assets in Manistee alone. I mean, from the Big M to, you think about going to Lake Michigan, sure, but the Arboretum Trail that's in Wellston. But the Big M is not known by everybody, but it is such an incredible asset year-round to be able to, bike out there, and so beautiful and serene. And right close to it is the Wellston Arboretum Trail, which is just a loop that's relatively new. It opened in August. It had been closed for the longest time, but there are something like 30 different types of tree species that are there that no other place in Michigan has something like that. So to be able to explore that and then promote it through an outdoor recreation byway, there's a lot of hoops that we have to jump through to make that designation, but comes with it dollars to help promote the road, and just to bring a spotlight to some of the outdoor recreation that's available there.
Have you been up there for the North Country Trail Run?
I have not.
Dude,
no.
It's so fun.
That's fantastic too. I know the library hosted a guest speaker of a person who's walked the entire North Country Trail like twice or something.
Wow.
Again, a year and a half in, I took for granted before this job all the things that we have here, and to be able to go down to the North Country Trail, walk the suspension bridge, walk along the lake, even get into a drift boat and just drift the big Manistee River. You see eagles, you see fish. In that respect, as much as I love Lake Michigan, you feel more connected to nature when you're just floating along, whether it's in a kayak, a canoe, on an inner tube, in a drift boat, or just walking along the shoreline. You see so much incredible assets that we have here in our county.
Betsy and I took our daughters to the suspension bridge last year, and way overdressed. We were like, we took lunch with us, and I shouldn't say overdressed. I dressed like, this is how I went: a hoodie, a pair of jeans, and my tennis shoes. And when we got out there were so many people with walking sticks, backpacks, little kids that look like they've been hiking forever. Like, get out of our way. They weren't like that, but you could definitely tell they knew what they were doing. And I didn't realize all the connections out there for these trails. It's so beautiful out there.
Yeah, that Holden Pile is a beautiful area as well. I mean, Tippy Dam, just beautiful. And unless you fished or have gone out there, I would love to put a webcam out there so people can see the fishing that takes place. It is, at certain times of the year, there are hundreds of fishermen out there. And then combined with the opportunity to kayak or canoe or just inner tube float down. I've been on the river when there's been like 12 inner tubes connected together, and they pull a Yeti cooler along on one and hang out on a sandbar. It's a fantastic experience and just so fun. All ages too.
Have you done the lazy?
I've only done that on the river out by where I live. I've tied a inner tube to a rope and just floated in the harbor or the channel. Then I kind of pull myself in when there's a boat coming. So
it's been a long time for me, but we've gone on the river before and just get, absolutely smashed.
No, I don't do that. So
well, maybe we should try it this summer.
Only at Ironfish.
What else, Sammie, before we wrap it up? You got anything good in front of you want to chat about?
Well, I brought everything for the Fly Fishing Film Festival, but I think we covered it all. I appreciate you having me on. I know you texted me back when I first started and said, hey, come on the podcast. I'm like, tell me when. That was a year later. You told me when. I'm
a flake. I do that a lot. I text and email people, hey, would you be interested? Yeah, sure, yeah. And then just, I'm a work in progress when it comes to this stuff
we
right
all
now.
are.
Plus, I'm in shambles. I did get an office space over at the PNC building.
Oh, okay.
So all of this will be going there. And it'll look better.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
And is that Connie's space? Connie
It is,
Fiberguns' space?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's I didn't realize how much room they have in that property.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space up there. So
Yeah, I'm always looking around, seeing what the next idea is for our space. I mean, COVID changed the way people work. So, and, phones and the opportunity on digital changes the way people look for tourism information too. So we're always on the lookout on what is the next big idea.
what about an app? I was going to ask you if you think an app for Manistee tourism would be viable. And the reason why I say that is because I'm always telling people to go to your calendar. Mm-hmm. Because there's shit on the calendar that I didn't even know was going on,
Yeah.
but it's there.
Yeah.
And it's honestly not that hard to get on the calendar, so don't complain if you're not on it. But
All you have to do is send us an email, or if we see you on social, we'll add it on our own.
Yeah.
You don't even have to tell us.
So I'm always telling people, just go to the website,
Mm-hmm.
and go to the calendar. I don't know how hard it is to have an app created, but
We've looked at an app. I'm always open to all sorts of ideas. Mobile websites are essentially apps at this
Yeah.
point. I know we have some bandwidth issues in the county. Some of the outlying areas, you're not necessarily going to get 5G
yeah.
to be able to find a trail map, for example. We still do printed. We're launching a new series of itineraries where you can create your own adventures. I want to be able to build those on our website. In fact, we need to look at a new website. Ours is getting pretty old. An app, there's some pros, there's some cons. Having done an app in the NASCAR world, you rely on people to download it, so that's
Right.
one extra step.
Yeah.
And in my experience, when they're done, they'll just delete it when they leave. So we want to make sure whatever we do is worth the value. It helps drive the message and continues to establish Manistee as a premier northern destination. But we'll always look at something. Right now, we still have printed pieces that with maps, because if you're in the Big M, you might not get a signal to know where to go and where to turn. But it's always something that we're looking at is what is the next big idea. I love ideas. I don't have great ideas. I'm good at executing those ideas. I have people around me that have really good ideas and that make me look good. So that's the beauty of the people that I work with.
It's good to know that, you're
I like
open
to
that.
set up an environment where people can have good ideas and bad ideas.
Yeah.
And it's safe to have a bad idea in my world. So nobody expects the perfect idea right out the gate.
Who made Love Letter in Manistee? That video.
The video was shot
Can't
by
find it now.
Aaron Peterson.
So I'm gonna put a link to that in the show notes. too.
And
Who is Aaron Peterson?
Aaron Peterson is a photographer out of Marquette. He shoots a lot of outdoor natural stuff for Midwest Living, and he's phenomenal. And then Brandon Jensen from Right Side Design actually edited the video together. So when Aaron was out here shooting last summer, he sent us a huge external hard drive of, 500 clips of anything and everything that he shot photos of as well. And then Brandon sifted through all those from Right Side Design and built the video. So that's the love letter, as I call it, to Manistee is our summer spot. We're looking at starting to promote summer now. I mean, winter is what it is. We might get some snow, but I don't think we're
Yeah.
going to get enough that is going to sustain winter. So we're starting to promote summer now.
Can't find it.
I'll send it to you.
It's a really cool video.
Yeah,
and
I
people
love
should
it.
Watch it.
There's so many things to do here. Although I had a piece fishing and he cut me out, so.
What? It is a good video. I wonder if they can make it so that I found it. I wonder if they can make it so that it fits the phone.
Oh, you mean
Do like a
vertical
portrait.
side?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what the kids want, right?
Well,
They want that vertical stuff.
yeah. I mean, and it's kind of a short, So it would fit well in that. You probably get. I love the video. I'm just ideas to get more views on it because it's a sharp video for sure.
I want people to share that near and far. I'm, willing to work with businesses who want to help promote things. It's going to take all of us to not only get tourists here, but also talent attraction is so important. We need people to work here. We need them to play here, but we need them to work here. So you can't keep adding businesses if nobody's going to work in those businesses. So,
what are your thoughts on a special events like director, coordinator position here?
It has to be somebody who's going to bring in new events. We have events or had events that were great local events, but we need events that are going to bring in people that are new. There is a quality of life to having local type of events. I mean, parades and things of that nature. We would support having an events person and would help contribute to something like that. The Tourism Authority we contribute to housing, we contribute to an economic development position. I think events is that next logical thing. It's where is that a person going to be housed is the question. So, but I think it's worth a discussion for sure. I know there's some communities that have people that attract events. Traverse City, for example, that person attracts like the International Fireworks Festival, things of that. I think this would be a good community to do like the lumberjack festivals that you see. And I'm just throwing that out as an event, but we need a person who can focus on something like that just brings in new events. Because there's a lot of events in this community already. I mean, every community has a historical day, Bear Lake, Arcadia, Brethren, things like that. So it would be nice to have a person who could focus on bringing in big events. But I go back to that infrastructure discussion too, that we need the infrastructure to host those events. So where are people going to eat? Where are they going to go for coffee? Where is the big collection? I mean, we do have a world-class casino here that has conference and event space. Is that big enough to be able to host much bigger events? So
right. It's a weird space we're in.
Yeah.
Like we're still growing.
Yeah, we are still growing. I mean, Manistee County is a community of about 25,000 people. Manistee City, this has like 6,000 of those people. That's small. But we grow to 4 times that in the summertime. So, and when you think about the cottages that come in, people coming in to be in, we are a pretty big city in that respect for a couple of months out of the year. So I'd like to keep that sustainment year round, but it's got to be smart. So
I agree.
But yeah, it's nice to be a part of those conversations though, for sure. And have a voice that looks out for tourism, and the hotels and some of the tourism-based businesses, which a lot of our businesses are. Yeah,
and a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, I go to TJ's. I love eating there. I love going to Bluefish. I love the Golden Stag. I can't get enough of it. I think that's our best new restaurant right now. And we need more of those, though. And we need that open year-round, because it's hard to promote tourism year-round if you're closed, like when tourists are here.
Yeah, how do we? Yeah, we could spend another 2 hours just talking about how can we bring them in. I look at places like up in Frankfurt, the Birch and Maple. Mm-hmm. Have you been there?
Yeah, I have.
And then they also own that Mexican tequila restaurant.
Yeah.
They also own the Mayfair.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah,
and these are young people.
Mm-hmm.
Very chefy, which I love. They're open year-round. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that their proximity to Traverse City makes a big difference. They can draw in on that and have people coming in. But, man, I mean, they have to buy and run and operate 3 restaurants in communities that are half the size of ours.
That's a tough gig, yeah.
And they're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, not just to single them out, but what I'm saying is if they can bring people into Frankfurt and Alberta in the wintertime, man, there's got to be unique ways for us to do it.
Well, you need good food, for one. And, our restaurants have good food. I eat local, and our restaurants have good food, and you need good service. It's like a big budget movie that is terrible. You could have Julia Roberts or the best actors in the world in every movie, but if the script is bad,
Yeah.
so you need a good menu and you need good food. And we've got some destination flagship restaurants in our downtown that are really good and have really good service. I've never had a bad day at Bluefish. I've never had a bad meal or a bad day at the Golden Stag so far, and I've been going there most recently. They've changed their menu. I think they've added their hours to be open every day now. So stuff like that helps when I'm promoting tourism, and because nothing's worse than being in a hotel and there's no place to go eat. So, I know that the restaurant at the Hampton is now open every day too. So there's these things that are happening that I think we take for granted as locals. I'm going to
Right.
keep going back to that tourists like. And when you don't have snow, you have to promote something. And so we promoted restaurants, we promoted the cool drinks, and everybody, I think, took a lesson out of TJ's and what Lindsay's doing there, in that if you have consistent hours, you have good food, and you have good service, people will keep coming to that, locals and tourists. And TJ's has built a really good reputation for that.
Yeah. Lindsay's a rock star.
Yeah, she's so fantastic. And the block party, I mean,
Yeah.
things like that are great for our community.
And that's a risk.
As people who live here.
Yeah.
But then also when you're downtown and you're looking for something to do, that was a great event.
Those block
so
parties
both
were
of them
nuts.
were great.
Yeah.
So
They were great.
Yeah.
And like I said, they were a risk. They were a risk for her because she paid for everything.
right.
I mean.
And it was new. It's risky to do something new.
Right.
And to do something new that's successful, that helps give people that confidence to keep doing it. Like fly fishing film festivals.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
We're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
So I'll put all of this stuff in the show notes, all the links to these.
Great. Thank you.
I will clip the whole part about the fly fishing festival.
Cool.
And that'll be what we put out.
Thank you.
As a kind of a focus for the whole deal. Cool?
Great.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
Got to
Thank
get you
I
to sign the
appreciate
board.
it. Oh,